We went to the Serengeti National Park in northern Tanzania in late August because that's just when Professor Craig Packer's schedule brought him to the Serengeti. He's a professor at the University of Minnesota. Actually, August isn't an ideal time to go to the Serengeti because it's very dry and dusty, and every single day I would come home from the field and be like caked in dust, and I wear contact lenses, and I had to throw out my contact lenses like every single day because they were so dirty. Everything was filthy. There were a lot of things that weren't exactly scary, but they were kind of alarming. Like when we were driving at night, these Land Rovers that they have are ancient, and they have the dimmest headlights, and it is the darkest night, and you never know what's going to jump into the headlights as you're rounding a corner on your way back to the lion house after a day's work. And one time Craig was driving me back to my lodge, and we almost hit a hippopotamus, and it was the most surreal thing. It was just turned a corner, and suddenly there was just a huge pink belly kind of filling the windshield. Lions really don't move very much, which is kind of not surprising after a while. You figure out that they really don't need to move that much. They're kind of in charge of the savannah, and they know it. The one time that I saw some interesting action was there were these lions, as always, kind of napping under a tree. It was 3 females and a little baby, and this group of 8 hyenas came over to them, and they're kind of harassing them in their little pool of shade. And the lions, it was the most incredible thing. The 3 lionesses and the baby shifted, so they put the baby in the middle of them. And then this one lioness just started growling, and it was just her. The other ones just kind of went about their business with the baby lion. And she eventually got up and just walked about as slow as you could walk, like almost like a gunslinger in a Western movie, right up to this group of 8 hyenas and just faced off with them and just stood there, just her against 8 of them, for like 5 minutes. And then she kind of looked over her shoulder, and the other 2 lionesses very slowly got up and walked after her. And they eventually kind of intimidated the hyenas into leaving them alone. The purpose of those traps is to take pictures of animals that are wandering past, and in that way get a census of the big cats, which is really hard to do because they're so elusive and rare. But what ended up happening with some of the camera traps, even in the very heart of the Serengeti, which is the protected area, was that the camera traps kept photographing poachers. And it was these really horrifying images of men just loaded down with snares, wire snares that you set on the ground to strangle animals. One time when we were driving around the park in the morning, and the giraffe researcher noticed that one of the zebras had a piece of metal wrapped around its neck, which turned out to be a poacher's snare. And luckily, the piece of metal hadn't cinched yet. They were able to tranquilize her, and once they got her down on the ground, it was pretty easy to snip off the wire loop. The zebra was completely terrified, and they were hosing her down with water so she wouldn't get too hot during this whole process. I'm sure, there's just so many animals who no one will ever see who will just die a horrible, slow death, by strangulation, starvation, all these things. So it's really sad.